Hello and welcome to the Money Lap group chat on a Wednesday, April 30th. I should get that right. 2025. We're going to dissect Talladega a little bit more, but since you've probably listened to most things all week, we're going to move it a little bit forward. We've got some Xfinity Series news with Connor Zilisch announcing that he'll miss Texas due to some injuries in the lower back sustained from that wreck at the end of Talladega. We also have the Miami GP coming up this weekend where there's some rumors bubbling out there that maybe Cadillac has an announcement and Sergio Perez's jet just landed in Miami. We'll see. This is Money Lap group chat. Let's get started. Welcome, boys. No Landon here this week. We've got AJ Henderson, video guy, Joshua Mendoza, producer. Both good guys. Don't have to explain that separately this time. You're just both good guys.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
No. And we missed Monday because I had no voice and had travel issues trying to get back from Talladega. So this is the only Money Lap of the week. We're the stars, boys. We're the stars.
Yeah, we got moved up. Me and Josh are no longer second string. We're on the...
Whoa.
I mean, it's just still technically the group chat, though.
It is. It's
like,
just that
okay.
Us three this week take center stage as opposed to normally being
just you and Landon, yeah.
Me and Landon and I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, this is really taking a turn, something different. I did have a good time in Dega, boys. I first time there being without racing, just hanging out, obviously doing the broadcast stuff, but in terms of being able to stay in the infield and that sort of thing, and had a time, great time. Boulevard, hit it every night basically, and especially Saturday night. And even stayed Sunday to watch the race as a fan. Met some great fans. Went down to the Ritz Dega, which is a platform down Turn 1, which was kind of cool. But we've got some great bars out there in the Boulevard. Tip Jar Bar, go-to favorite. Red 38, met those guys on Sunday. Good guys, good people. So, fun times.
I've always wanted to go to the Boulevard, personally. That was a debate to go for my bachelor party. And, I mean, I didn't end up doing it, but boy...
You'd have seen some things. There were some people that came there from the TV world that were telling me that they saw some things that they were like, we shouldn't have seen with our coworkers. Like, that's just too much. I was like, yeah, there's a bunch of terms for it. Redneck Burning Man, that sort of thing. Some call it like Redneck Mardi Gras, which I was like, okay, that's fine. I think it's something else. It's just Talladega. Like, there doesn't really relate to anything. It's just complete insanity. And you don't know you're in the center of a racetrack. And the anarchy and the lack of like rules is wild. So it's a great place.
Couple of years I've gone to Talladega and we would be down on pit road for the race. And as we're leaving on one of the shuttles to take you back to the outside of the track, there were full shuttles of people coming into the track just to party. At the end of the day.
Definitely. You have the concert. So there was Justin Moore playing Saturday night. The crowd was absolutely massive. Like I think I mentioned that last time we stayed for one of those concerts where it's just like the crowd. You cannot believe how big it is. And I'll never forget meeting this kid. I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago. And somehow we were talking. We're like, hey, man, are you here for the race? And he goes, what race? And I was like, you're inside a racetrack. He said, what? He was just there for the concert. I had no idea that Talladega is actually a racetrack. And I would say that's probably pretty predominant amongst the crowd that doesn't know it's actually a racetrack. There's definitely people who have woken up there, heard race cars, and been like, what in the world? Where am I? Am I at an airport? So I wasn't one of them. I knew I was in a racetrack the whole time, by the way.
That's good. Well, you didn't forget, like, later on the night?
No, I mean, there's times. There's times you forget it has anything to do with racing, other than there's, occasionally person comes up, it's like, hey, are you Parker Kligerman? I'm like, yep. How you doing? What's up? Hey. I don't mind it though. I find it fun. I think it's cool when you mingle with the fans and they don't expect to see out there, and it's like, oh yeah, we come out here as well. So good times.
Have you had any fans come up to you at the Boulevard and be like, hey, you wrecked Cole Custer last year?
Oh yeah, I mean, they're always nicer in person. So, but I've definitely been some discussions for sure. I've did a ton of shots of fans, at many alcoholic beverages with fans. So I think it's a cool part of it. You don't get that anywhere else. That's only NASCAR at Talladega, that sort of experience. So speaking of which, I watched the Cup race as a fan in the infield, and I bounced around. We went to the infield bar called Big Bill's or whatever, which is actually really cool in the outside pit lane in the fan zone. And I just bopped all around with some friends. And I will say, like, I know I was seeing all the conversation about the race and what people were seeing over the broadcast and that sort of thing. But I won't lie. As someone on the grounds who's with people who care and they enjoy this, but they're not like the most technical ardent race fans, they were like at times, oh, they're 3-4 wide. This is cool. Right now, I'm explaining to them at times like, hey, they're fuel saving. Hey, they're, by the way, Josh, what are you doing? You're just not even looking. You're just on the screen as I'm doing a single conversation. By the way, if you're listening right now, we obviously do this on YouTube. If you like, check it out. Where we have visuals.
What I was doing is I was getting the race ready so we could show it on the screen.
Okay, so well then I'm just gonna cut you off. So what was I saying? Oh, so basically, you're watching all this. I'm explaining fuel saving and that sort of thing that's happening, why guys are going forward and backwards and that sort of stuff. But they didn't care. They just like 3-4 wide cars. And even when it got down to late in the race, I could tell like, hey, they're 2x2. They're flat out. There's nothing going to happen here unless something gets jumbled up in terms of the draft, because that's the way this car races. But to them, like as a finish happened and it was super close, they were all jumping up and down and like, this is awesome. So I just wanted to put that out there before we get into our technical deep dive of the issues with the Super Speedway package and that sort of stuff and everything everyone's talked about all week. And I'm sure you guys want to discuss for a second. We're not going to go too deep, by the way, because I'm sure if you listen to our show, you listen to other shows. There are podcasts. Those are podcasts. But I just felt like I've said before, if I always say about the bar test, like if you're watching at a bar with no sound, does it look exciting? And for whatever reason, this form of Super Speedway racing does look great. But if you know what's happening, that's a problem. And that's a really hard thing for anyone in the sport and for the drivers and for Denny, who's been upset about it, to understand, because he's so ingrained. You can't see the forest through the trees, right? He's so involved. It's hard for him to take a step back and imagine watching a race at a bar or watching a race as a fan drinking in the infield, that know that like this doesn't look terrible. Now, with that, I think it is unfortunate that this package kind of creates the racing it does. You guys watched on TV. What am I missing from that?
The commercials.
Monologue.
The commercials. I'm going to just tell you right now, this ending does not feel as bad if we were given more than 5 laps of green flag racing in the last 15 laps. We spent more time under commercial for the last 15 laps than we did under green flag.
That's
and
a problem.
It is a problem.
Is that something you went back and noticed, or is it just like you're going off like the?
No, I was watching it live and I was furious that we had less than 10 laps to go. Actually, less than 6 laps to go, and we were coming back from commercial break.
I do remember them going to side by side with like 7 or 8 laps. I was like, okay, that's a little weird, I guess.
And I know why. They have contracts they're obligated to fulfill. The problem is when you're giving yourself 5 laps to build excitement for a finish, it's not enough time. You need at least 10 laps to do that. And there was a video posted by somebody on Twitter in response to Denny Hamlin asking, can we get a side-by-side of the last 2 laps of the Xfinity race and the Cup race? And one of the cool things that they did, and they didn't intentionally do this, is they did that, but you could hear the audio from both booths at the same time. Now, I'm not here to dog on the booth of Fox, but it is incredibly difficult to make a compelling, exciting call to the finish when literally nothing is happening on track. And you mix that with 4 laps to actually build that excitement, you're going to have a finish that feels like a flat tire. Like that's really all it felt like to me. I was like, we need to go for another 5 laps. maybe I might feel like I'm on the edge of my seat then, but I'm watching, and then the audacity to call that a last lap pass for the win by Mike Joy. I found that so incredibly disingenuous, because anyone with a pair of eyes and brain cells firing recognizes that is maybe on paper what happened, but visually not what happened.
They ran lockstep. Now, that's not the funny thing about that is that whole lockstep deal. Go back to 07, that old car we loved at Daytona at times. That's how they finished, lockstep like that. Like that wasn't. It's not different. It's just that we've been spoiled at times with different crazy races that you get almost a rose tinted glasses, right? I think. Yeah. I mean, on the commercial side, that's a little unfortunate, because having been in the nitty gritty of the TV side, obviously, all broadcasts go in with a set amount of commercials. The producer knows how many commercials they got to hit. They have certain requirements in time of commercials. They know if they have heavy breaks, which a heavy break is a couple minutes versus a light break for side by side, that sort of thing. And they kind of try to plot that out. And one of the things you'll notice in a NASCAR race, which a lot of productions try to do, is they try to front load some commercials. And the purpose of that is knowing that there's some that they have to just get in that are longer, that sort of thing. And so they're kind of hoping for some cautions at times, because it's like, hey, we're a little heavy on commercials. We kind of need this to plan out right? That is without also sometimes on a bigger race, the audience grows the whole way through. So they have maybe some commercial requirements later in the broadcast window, which are a tougher, trickier thing to get in. They're hoping for, maybe a wreck or two in stage 3 that gives them the time to get those in, so that you see those last 10, 15 laps green flag, right? That's kind of how you aim for it to happen. So lack of cautions, lack of a red flag, which, personally as a race fan, you shouldn't have to care about that. If it doesn't happen, it's a great race. That's fine. I'm just telling you how the business works. Then, you don't have those. You get kind of put in a box where it's eventually like, oh no, we have to do a break now. We have to hit this requirement. And I guess I know that's frustrating. Like I'd be the same way. But that's kind of a misstep on the broadcast team, the sales team, everyone working together to understand exactly how and where those commercials are going to happen. But they're trying to, they're probably going off average. What a lot of them do is they go off average run time of a race, right? And with these Talladega races, which normally have big wrecks or red flags, your average run time is probably longer. So they can sell the idea of like, hey, there's this many ads within this average run time. But when it's a shorter race, that puts everyone in a bind. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean, on screen right now, audited it. It was 12 to go to now we're 9 to go. That's all the green flag we got. And now we're in more commercials.
I think there's another one after this.
There is not. There
isn't? Okay.
No, I get what happened, and honestly, a little bit on the producer there, but it's so frustrating as a fan. It's like other sports don't have this issue. I mean, F1 doesn't even have commercials during their races. And I get
how much money they're making.
It's just frustrating. Because it feels like, it's just, you get all this hype build up. You go into this race expecting the most exciting thing in the world. And now I'm watching 8 laps to go and I'm getting a pods moving in storage commercial.
That is wild.
My favorite thing was somebody took an NBA game, and then it was like 5 minutes left in the NBA game. The teams are tied, and they like edited to make it go to side by side in a commercial. And it's like, oh yeah, they would obviously never do this in any other sport because it's stupid and everybody hates it. And the other thing, I don't think the ending in the whole race was as bad as some people are making it out to be, but it's also kind of annoying when I think it was Elton Sawyer or somebody was like, oh yeah, do you see all these lead changes and how many different cars led laps? That's exactly what are we trying to change here? And it's like, could you imagine, I think I said this in a group chat, could you imagine Dana White seeing the most boring UFC card of his life and then coming out afterwards to the press conference and being like, oh, what are you guys complaining about? That was awesome. Like, no, he'd be like threatening to cut people's contracts. He'd be doing all sorts of stuff. It's like, where's that energy here? That seems like most other sports have, that NASCAR for like over a decade now is like almost gaslighting everybody into liking it.
Actually,
clearly people don't. And the numbers show that they don't.
here's one thing that I find annoying. We're putting ads up for Texas Motor Speedway at 6 laps to go. That was just there a second ago. There was a commercial from NASCAR on their own race with 6 laps to go.
Now, they don't make that choice, but
I know they don't make that choice, but like, come on.
Yeah.
It is bad.
Yeah. I mean, what I take from this is one, the Saturday booth. You guys said it, best booth in NASCAR. No.
Best car in NASCAR too, baby. Xfinity
what's
car.
that? Yeah, well, I mean, and that's obviously what I know Denny talked about and wanted to come do an Xfinity race at Super Speedway because it's the better package and obviously you can control your destiny more. And I think that's, if I went, putting the TV stuff aside, which obviously I understand and I know, but I've never worked with Fox, so I can't tell you exactly how they operate in that sense. But, I can only tell you from the ones I've worked with. And if you remember last year, NBC and USA did the green flag at the Super Speedways where they had no commercials during green flag running, which was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I think especially Super Speedways, it's a powerful thing because it's just there should be constant action essentially. And especially, if you look at the Xfinity car is, and I think to your point, AJ, NASCAR is always in a tough spot because I don't think there's any sport that's as dynamic. The problem is
for
fighting doesn't have suddenly they all show up with different gloves that change the whole dynamic of it, right? It's a pretty consistent platform. Football, unless yes, there's rule changes, but there isn't systematic and ginormous changes in the actual game, which happens.
Yeah, that costs a lot of money. And
the car changes, the package changes, things change. There's so many moving variables in motorsports. To have a consistent show, I think, is a really tough thing. And they've actually kind of gotten that with this package. It is consistent. You kind of know what to expect right now. And I think that's unusual, right? And we don't normally have that. The Xfinity Series put on a great show on Saturday, but it could have easily gotten to a single line affair, right? Which hasn't happened now at Daytona or this weekend, which either we can say is, there's a lot of rookie drivers and really good cars. So maybe they're just making bigger, different moves and would have happened in a year past. I know there was a lot of single file running when I ran in 24 and 23, even with that package, right? But that's sort of the variables. Another variable you can't control, right?
But is that fuel saving? Is that fuel saving?
It's not fuel saving, but it's just literally you just get up there and ride because
okay.
And there's a lot happening in those lines, but you would just naturally get there because then you're all kind of in this stalemate where the top becomes so dominant, you don't want to drop out. And so you're just killing laps, right? And that happens because of the nature of super speedway racing. The one thing I will say the Xfinity car and package allows, which I know this is the single, and I get it, this is the single frustration with the current Cup super speedway package, is the heroicism of a driver driving through the pack like Austin Hill did. If you look at the last 3 laps to go at Talladega, he is something like 15th or 17th with 3 to go coming out of turn 1 and goes on to win that race into turn 3 on the final lap. That will not happen in the current Cup car without a massive wreck or a massive breakup of the pack, right? That's the heroic thing that's just not possible. And if they could keep everything as it is, have fuel saving, have the idea of this lockstep deal, but suddenly have the ability to have 3 wide that allows a heroic move or drive through the field like Austin Hill did, then everyone would be happy. That's literally the only thing they're missing. And I think that's where Denny, what he talks about, he wants to control his destiny and have the chance to run that car because the bubble, you can make moves, it creates runs differently, all those things. He's just looking for the chance to make a heroic move, right? And I get that. That's what I want to see as well. And we get to see it in the Xfinity car, but we've also not seen it because it's not a guarantee. This is a live product, that sort of thing. So I don't know if there's sort of a solution there. I really don't know what it is. And I know everyone's talking about spoilers and splitters and moving this and that and this and that. I don't think anyone knows. You just don't know.
Xfinity.
Well, you could run the Xfinity car, but you could you could take the spoiler off the Cup car, the underbody, whatever you do. You're not guaranteed to have some sort of show like you saw in Xfinity. We've seen plenty of times it doesn't happen. And maybe they end up single file. It's just you don't know.
I feel like, though, the problem I have with it is this race was not saved by a late wreck. It was not, there wasn't a shuffle in the last stage. So we saw the natural order of how that package turns out. And we haven't quite had that as much previously. I feel like maybe Daytona, it was not fantastic, but we also are not making changes. There's no changes being made. There's no obvious like, hey, we're going to mix up the package. Let's throw on the intermediate spoiler. Nothing's changed. We've been running the same package for how many years now?
Yep.
And it's like somebody raised a point where I can't remember, what was it, the 2000 Daytona race? We came back with the wicker or whatever it was at the top to try and solve a problem by the next Dega race. Like, it's what happened to we're going to throw some stuff until we're happy with the package that's being produced. Now,
well, I'm going to blame
teams.
By the way,
I'm going to blame teams. They complain about the rule changes. It costs money. Complaining about money. And that goes down the line of teams are apparently the poorest people in all of motorsports, and they can't afford to do anything. Every time we want to do something, they're like,
how am I going to buy another boat if I'm spending my money on my dang race team?
I hope Martin Truex Jr. is happy with his new boat. That just reminded me. I hope he's enjoying life with it.
I hope he ended up getting one. He does not care about your thoughts in his boat. I will put it out there. To your point, Josh, about changing things. I have had this theory that for super speedway racing, probably the best thing possible is constant changes. Yep. Like race to race. So you have no idea what you're going to see, right? And it doesn't matter if it's successful, we're changing it anyway. Yeah. Right? Like, because everyone learns. So you just keep tweaking and changing. And if you look at those early 2000s, they definitely did that, whether it was restrictor plate size, those little arrow bits, changing the spoiler, that sort of thing. All the time it was being tweaked. There's no doubt about that. And I think that should almost be built into the nature of super speedway racing, is to have, I only think it's probably the only way, because of the specified nature of this car and the consistent nature of this car. If you want to, flip it over each time, change it. Just every time, here's a little different tweak. And the teams don't even need to know what it is. It's just, hey, week of the race, 2 weeks out, hey, we're making this change. Like, I think that if you want to get what you're looking for, it's going to take something like that, because that's the only way to do it. The Xfinity Series, once again, is always going to have a natural limit to evolution of those cars and the development of those cars, and having some sort of, although the RCR guys have been almost absolutely dominant on super speedways for a couple of years, because the rules package doesn't change really much and they've just nailed what they're doing. There's a natural limit to the amount of development and evolution that's going to happen there, because there's only so much money. And, the natural limit is there's only this much prize money, and it's not a ton. And we only get this much sponsorship. And this is kind of the number that everyone runs an Xfinity car to. So we're not really going to spend money developing it. Cup is different. It is absolutely 10x bigger in every metric. And therefore, they're going to, if you keep anything consistent, there's going to be teams that put effort and resources behind developing that package to understand how to be better than the others, and you're going to change the show. So if you want to stop all that, you have to change it every single time. That won't happen, but it would. You are correct, Josh. What were you going to say, AJ?
I'm assuming also with the next gen, there's probably some sort of, obviously the whole idea of it being spec and everything. NASCAR probably doesn't want to change. Like with the Gen 6, it seemed like there are so many years where there's so many different packages, and like a couple of years, there's like almost every single week there'd be a different package depending on what track they would go to. And I imagine they're trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
But they have changed a few things here, little tiny things here and there. But maybe they could just have some sort of cheap solution for like super speedways. It's like, oh, it's just a different spoiler, or the underbody is different, or something.
Or the wicker on the top. Literally, like any of that stuff.
Yeah, something like that.
To your point.
Just try anything.
Cheap stuff. Nothing on the underbody.
Windshield wipers on it and just see what it does.
Nothing on the windshield will be cheaper. That's for sure. So, or a different spoiler, because I think the thought process is maybe these cars have too much drag right now, so they just die when you go to the high side, that sort of thing. So
imagine if NASCAR was like, we're just going to add a wicker, and we're actually just going to produce it for every single one of you guys. You guys literally just need to bolt it on, and here's the kit. Pick it up from us on Friday.
I feel like they've done that before. Like when the cars got to the track, like one weekend, they installed something on them. A couple years ago.
God, you're testing my knowledge on that one. I feel like I've heard of that sort of thing.
Some with the next gen, I thought.
Well, no, they made them have that shark fin, shark fin edition. After
that,
over. Yeah.
Did
maybe I'm thinking something else.
I feel like
thing, I guess.
I feel like there was a time where NASCAR wouldn't allow you to install the spoiler, and you would show up to the track, and then they would provide a bunch of spoilers, and then you would install it on. Am I remembering that right? Or
Ooh. Well, he definitely was the case with the restrictor plate. Definitely the case with the restrictor plate. You got that put on there. Can't tell. I can't remember. I vaguely remember something like that, but that sounds the spoiler. You've always had to buy it from the same source, but them actually installing it or giving you one, I don't remember that.
Yeah,
So,
I could be remembering it completely wrong. I feel like there's
they
stuff
ain't they ain't in the business of buying parts for the teams, man.
Yeah, well, clearly nobody's in the business of buying parts for the teams, because even the teams complain when they have to buy parts for the team. So I'm tired of hearing about, money this, money that. And then they're like, turns out we just signed a $7 billion contract, but we're poor. And it's like, where's the money going? I don't know. Everyone seems to be poor. Nobody's making money here. So
I saw that Reddit post. Someone had a Reddit post. It's like, okay, so nobody's making money in this deal. Why is anyone doing it?
Yeah,
everyone's poor.
Yeah, and why are all your race shops like architectural masterpieces?
I gotta hand it to AJ.
They're always like having construction going on to make them look prettier.
AJ in the group chat.
Where's that money coming from?
After Denny complained about the All-Star deal costing $2 million, AJ did the cost of the glass for the outside of
airspeed.
Airspeed.
I don't even think it's just the outside windows. I think it might be like most windows in there are slanted at 23 degrees. Why? That's so extra for no reason.
And how much did it cost per plane?
I think total ChatGPT was like, it was an extra $20,000 total, but still, it's like, what are we doing here? That thing costs like $20 million almost to build that thing. It's like, do we need LED screens in there to look like an NBA game? Like, do we really need that? I do think it's actually really cool though, so I don't actually care that much because it's like by far the coolest shop in NASCAR. But
no, by far.
Yeah,
but then
Denny,
driving by it and playing about money.
Denny, if you're listening, we understand. We just find all of it funny from everyone's side.
I get all the sides, and my thing is that I've gone on the rant about teams and money, and everyone it's just like at some point, okay, we just got to run you got to run the business to the money that's there, right? And I think we know there's a large increase and teams were able to function before this. Now they weren't making profits, right? I think the idea of some sort of slush fund possibly being created to allow these sorts of developments and changes would have been smart. But everyone wanted more. And I think it's all in a tough spot. Like at the end of the day, race cars are damn expensive and changing them is damn expensive and racing is expensive. But to the point of that person from Reddit, if everyone's losing money doing it, why is anyone doing it? And it's just not the case, obviously. So there's some happy medium there. I presume there would be some changes coming to this package if really the fan base does not like the product. And, NASCAR does all those fan surveys, that sort of thing. They'll see the data. They'll see the social media, and I think you'll get a change. I really do.
I like the fan surveys. Have you ever filled one out, Parker?
I haven't, but I know they're leading.
Very leading. I think my favorite was the one that I sent in the group chat earlier. It was from like 2019, where it was like, do you want to see a car leading by itself, dominating the field? Or would you love to see a lot of lead changes and side-by-side racing really close together? That's really exciting and fun.
Hey, okay, well, they should have termed it was my damn bar test versus educated fan listening to a broadcast. Like, at the end of the day, you can simplify all this BS with one simple solution. Yeah. If you're watching in a bar with no sound, are you entertained and do you know what the hell is happening? And if that is the case, you've succeeded. If not, you're probably barking up the wrong tree.
The bar test fails when I go into a bar and I ask them to change the channel and they hand me the remote because they can't figure out what channel NASCAR is on. So
that does fail the bar test.
You guys have Amazon Prime.
If it can't be put on in a bar, then you're screwed. Yeah. You know what you can watch at a bar anytime? The CW, NASCAR Xfinity Series.
True. Facts.
Which you can listen, but you'd have to have the sound on to listen to me. So my dulcet tones great information.
Hey, Parker.
What's that?
Speaking of listening to you, I was looking for some diecast.
Really?
You know where I could get a set of diecast?
That's funny you ask, because you could head to, and if you were smart, you would head to spoilerdiecast.com, full of the best products across the industry of NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, 1,900 pieces of merchandise and diecast at spoilerdiecast.com. Same day shipping. They'll even give you 5% off and free shipping over $50 if you use MoneyLap as your code when you go to spoilerdiecast.com. Good partners of ours, good friends. Wore their hat all weekend in Talladega. Spread the Spoiler Diecast cheer from Boulevard Bar to Boulevard Bar. But most of all, they have my diecast there, the number 75 Spike Coolers truck that you can have pre-ordered from Daytona. They also have my shirt. That's the win shirt that Josh is wearing right now. Look there. People are tagging me. I saw some down in Talladega. That was really cool to see. So if you want the best place across the internet for NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, even sprint car, diecast, and merchandise, look no further than spoilerdiecast.com. That's SPOILER diecast.com. Go there today. Check it out. Did I sound like Landon?
Yeah, it needs some work, but
Need some work. I mean, I was off the brain. He reads.
it was very good. That was very good.
He
Yeah.
reads.
I figured you'd have like a cool, funny story like usually. But Josh did segue into it, so he might have stole that from you.
Yeah, how would I have a sweat?
Just FYI, I don't think they're doing the 5% off right now, but the free shipping still happens.
That's right. No 5% off. You get free shipping.
Okay.
Damn it. I screwed it up. I couldn't remember that part.
I just wanted to make sure that I was
Go to spoilerdiecast.com, use
misleading.
code MONEYLAP, and see what you get.
Yeah.
You're gonna save money somehow.
Money
Somehow,
will be saved.
somehow, some way, MONEYLAP code will help you. We're not exactly sure how right now, but it will help you. Landon wasn't here to do it correctly this week, so I had to fill in. But I did wear their hat. I spreaded the cheers with their diecast everywhere. Hey, so back to the fan surveying of this race. The Jeff Gluck poll happened. And was a Talladega a good race? Only 39% said yes. Lowest of 19 Talladega races in the poll. Previous low was 42% at Talladega Fall 2018. The second lowest of 45 Super Speedway polls.
By the way, I love that the bar that so many people said yes is, hey, it was a clean finish. We didn't wreck a ton of cars.
Well, actually, you say that, but I would.
Saves the team's money,
Yeah,
I actually don't hate that, because damn, I've been in some of those wrecks, and I'll be damned if it isn't sometimes, sort of encouraging to watch a Talladega or a Daytona race end without just some ginormous last lap wreck, and I always get disheartened as I get to those 2 laps and I'm like, just don't wreck, guys. Figure out a way to make this thing finish on the green. Come on, So I don't know. I can see some crescents in that. Also,
I just as a fan, it doesn't it doesn't bother me, and I feel like you should be excited for a big wreck because it's exciting to watch. And
wow. Whoa. Wait,
Whoa.
what are you, bloodthirsty?
I don't want anyone to get hurt.
Well,
Like,
might as well drivers get out
I didn't enjoy Zilisch going to the wall. I didn't. No, but it's exciting. 2012 Dega, Tony Stewart in the air. That it was cool. I don't give a rat's ass what anyone says. That was a cool thing. That was exciting as hell.
Officer, arrest this man. Arrest
all
him.
of that goodwill we made making our arguments about the race being boring. You just throw it all down the drain.
You
by
just
sounding
destroyed it.
There was no big one.
Everything.
There was no big one.
The hatchet man has showed up. Josh Mendoza, destroyer of worlds. Jeez. Now he just walked off the show.
Knock over his Lego set.
Yeah.
I don't give a rat's ass. I'm right. I'm a fan. I'm right. That's all I have to say.
All right. Moving on from that situation. Adam Stern reported that the PGA Tour has shown interest in hiring NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps as his new CEO. His interest in the job could not be immediately established, so he could wind up staying at NASCAR.
Yeah, what does that
trying
mean?
to poach people. I didn't understand the second sentence.
Yes.
But
I was hoping you could tell me. Oh, okay. Well,
didn't understand it, but that would be a shame. Steve Phelps has
does that
been always
mean that
really
he
good
could
to me.
agree to the job, but like once his NASCAR contract is over, like, oh yeah, in 5 years I'll start doing that. But that doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah,
What
we'll see.
why do you think the PGA is targeting Steve Phelps? What specifically do you think he's done that's raised the? Not saying that he hasn't done anything. I actually think he's done a lot of amazing things. But
Yep.
what do you think it's specific with PGA currently dealing with the live golf competition issue? What do you think they're targeting him for?
Well, I would say what is similar about golf and NASCAR is the idea that one, you play at all these different, for them, courses, for us, tracks, right? You have a traveling sort of circus in that respect where all your top people play in a same event, right? They have some similar, like very similar problems that they face in terms of how they run their events. And I think for them, TV also has been a similar thing. I think they also probably view what Steve has done in the last 6 to 7 years. And if you look at where NASCAR was in 2018, 2019, and the doom and gloom that was surrounding this sport compared to post-COVID and being the first sport to get back going during COVID and then sort of have a resurgence in a lot of respects, I think they respect all that, right? And they see that. And he was instrumental in making a lot of those things happen. And therefore, if you are a league like the PGA that's looking around for who out there could come in and help them take it to the next step, considering they've gone through a pretty tumultuous time with Live Golf and having to raise their payouts to their players, and sounds very similar to what we do here in NASCAR, then you want someone who's probably been down the same path and fought the same war, maybe from a different angle. And I would say that he's probably one of the top candidates for that. So, yeah, I see it. I see why you'd want him. I hope he stays because, like I said, I have huge respect for him, and he's always been great to me. And I think he has been one of the people instrumental in charting a better path for this sport than what it was on 2018, 2019-ish, 2017. That mid-2000s range, there were some really tough times happening. And it was looking pretty bleak for a while. And somehow, that course was corrected, and he played an instrumental role in that. So, yeah, I think it'd be unfortunate if he left, but whatever's best for Steve, also as his friend, say, hey man, if it's a life goal or whatever, it's a pretty big deal. So
I hope he stays personally.
There you go. We're all supporting Steve. Hey, Steve, you stay.
Yeah,
come on, man.
Big Steve fans. Big Steve fans.
Yeah, I feel like one of my favorite things in the last post-COVID era was, the Clash being moved to the Coliseum and then subsequently to North Wilkesboro, Chicago Street Course. The clear, obvious intention to try and get an international points race on the schedule. I feel like those are moves that pre-Steve era. Now, I know he has a suite of people that are helping make these moves happen.
Yep.
But I think for me, the schedule diversity and changes that have happened under his leadership have been one of the best things for the sport in the last 3 or 4 decades. So
yeah. I had a fun conversation about those things with Ben Kennedy this past weekend, and some of that stuff, and we're just kind of talking the same thing of just like how cool some of those things have been and how awesome it is that we see the sport continuing to just sort of say, hey, why not try something different? Let's do it. I love that. It started for me with the Roval back in whenever that came around. I can't remember.
2018, I think.
Yeah, 2018, 2019. And then it's just sort of that idea of just like, let's try different and see what sticks went about. And I think it's really been instrumental in sort of recharting or correcting the course that it was on. For the Xfinity Series, 1.26 million viewers for the Xfinity race at Talladega, up 20% compared to last week's race at Rockingham. It's the first time since 2017 that the first 11 races of the year have hit over 1 million viewers, and viewership peaked at 1.623 million. I was also at the CW Upfront last night in New York City with my buddies, Adam Alexander, Jay McMurray, Justin Allgaier was there, Austin Hill. And it was pretty cool, full of other celebs from around the entertainment world. Craig Ferguson, Bill O'Reilly was there, and a bunch of other actors and actresses from a lot of the CW shows, which was cool. But they really gave a huge shout out to NASCAR and they were like, NASCAR Xfinity is awesome. It's been an amazing thing for them, and they're all about it. So super cool to see. And that's working. And for the Xfinity Series, I just think this is so big. And I know I've harped on it. And if you listen to the show or watch here on YouTube, you have heard me say, whether it was by accident or by design, the Xfinity Series garnered its own identity, and then putting it on one network that has massive distribution is proving to be just like this amazing thing where the Xfinity Series is completely separated from Cup in a lot of respects. With the car design, with the type of racing you see, and then just this idea that it's on one place all year long. So pretty cool. I'm enjoying it, but I like to see that. One thing I don't like to see, you mentioned it, Josh, Connor Zilisch got injured in that wreck at Talladega off of the lead on the last lap. He hit the inside wall. I had someone tell me that they thought he broke the wall, which I was like, my goodness. I knew he hit hard. I didn't know it was that hard. There was some talk from people of like, why did the caution get thrown for a single car spinning the inside? He could have got medical to him. I sense that, but I also think that the view that you had of that car firing off and the angle he did towards the wall, you knew it was going to be a really heavy hit, and therefore stopping that race and getting medical to him as fast as possible had to be the most important thing at that time. And sure enough, he's going to miss Texas Motor Speedway as Kyle Larson's going to fill in for him. But yeah, this hit, I mean, it's just that's a large one. It's flush, it's flat. There may be worse looking ones, but those flat hits are the hardest. The hardest two hits I've ever had in my life were Kansas 2016 when I got right reared off of turn 4 and hit the wall head on. It was almost 70 some odd G's. The front left wheel came through the footwell and got into the pedals. And had I not removed my feet from the pedals, I probably wouldn't have feet. And then the second hardest one was getting turned off of turn 4 at Talladega and hitting the inside wall where completely flat, where I felt like I was going to go through the windshield and trucks, and the pedals actually came all the way up to hit my knee. So, those heavy, they don't look that bad from the outside, but on the inside, and the suddenness of, the sudden deceleration and the rate of that deceleration is so large that it's just incredibly hard hits that from the naked eye would be tough to tell, but from those in the know, those are really, really bad hits.
Can we do it? Can we do anything about those?
I don't, wall design, that sort of thing. At the end of the day, I think when you have race cars going 200 miles an hour, they are going to find way, especially with the style of Super Baby racing that is so crazy, and you hit each other, and you actually physically hit your cars into each other to go faster, is going to be a problem to try and think of every scenario, right? I know they look at the way those walls sort of angle towards the racing surface, and sure, I think that's a good help, but I just think there's only so much you can do before you're just not going to be able to ever stop a race car from having to hit some form of wall that's sort of flat. And the way it happened for Connor there, where he gets spun from the lead at probably the highest rate of speed he possibly could be going, and the angle, there was just no slowing down, right? And so I just think that was one of the worst angles you can have in that sense. But no, I don't think there's a ton that can be done other than obviously the safer barrier there, which hitting that without a safer barrier would be massive. At Rockingham on the front stretch, they didn't have a safer barrier, basically. And a couple of the guys who hit that wall on that restart wreck at the Xfinity race were telling me, they were like, that's the hardest hit I've ever had. And I think I was going like 60 miles an hour. So hitting concrete versus safer barrier, and this is from young drivers who had never hit anything but a safer barrier. They were like, we were like so happy for the safer barrier, because hitting a concrete wall is a whole nother level.
Ask Kyle Busch.
Exactly. Right.
2014 Daytona took him out for half a season. I think it was 2014, right?
Was that not a safer
2015, right?
Back
2015.
Yeah, so that's when he won the championship.
There was nothing on the inside. Broke his legs, right? So,
Let's
move to Formula One.
You were right. It was 2015.
I know I'm right.
Okay. I'm glad
like
to
an
hear
elephant.
that.
I
He had
never
the most
forget.
legendary return ever to come back and win the championship.
Guys, I am a encyclopedia of racing. You will not outthink me and outknow me.
Returned at Sonoma, I believe.
Yeah, I remember that. And was incredible. That was insane. So let's
I think
talk
I was at
F1.
that race. I was at that
Oh,
race.
that's fun. Okay, moving on. Let's talk
Mhm.
F1. They announced the Madrid circuit layout. When is this race coming, Josh?
Believe next year.
Okay, this is a terrible layout from the map.
What?
They have a corner every 3 seconds, which means
Also,
the F1 cars
cool.
are literally never going to pass each other.
Can I just say it, Parker?
What's that?
It's a schlong. That's definitely a schlong. I mean,
Whoa.
Oh, you made like a gentleman's appendage.
yes.
Interesting. I also see a handle, maybe, or like a finger that's sort of broken in like your pointer finger coming off your hand that's sort of broken at the end and pointed up again. You'll literally look like that. It looks like someone who built this was like, oh, I just broke my finger. That should be the track.
Yeah.
Like if you literally took your thumb, if you're not watching on YouTube, just imagine this. You took your thumb and you sort of pointed it out, and then you pointed your pointer finger out, and that sort of C, but then you just cracked your pointer finger in 2 places. That's the track with a chicane at the inside of your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
not
this
a good
is
design.
This is not near where the current track is. It's like
This is in
somewhere else.
Madrid. This is a whole other part of Spain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeez, get your
cool.
geography right.
I just
Jeez.
saw there's like a stadium section, so I didn't know if there was like a pre-existing track that was there, if this is like
No.
completely new entirely.
It's new entirely, as far as I know.
I just hope the only thing I hope is there's like a roundabout that they have a little thing that go around, kind of like IndyCar at Long Beach with like the pond. I just hope you can like
Pond?
tell it's a
You mean the
roundabout
fountain?
when you watch the race.
Yeah,
Yeah, the fountain. Yeah.
The famous fountain.
Yeah, because
corner.
well, when they go through an
Pond.
IndyCar, like, oh, cool, they're going around a fountain. I just hope in F1 they're not like gonna surround it with like Aramco sponsors. Like, I want to be like, oh, that's a roundabout, cool.
That's a good test, AJ. With these street courses they keep adding, especially these newer ones, with all the signage, the way they keep making it similar, it's gonna be a fun game
It's
to play.
insane.
Well, if you can tell the difference, like from certain shots, which one they're at.
Yeah,
anyone would be able to tell.
Like GeoGuessr, but like guess which F1 track they're at because like you can't even tell.
No
Like Jeddah
identifying
is like
factor.
insane.
Oh, it's nothing.
You
It's
can't even
walls
tell
in a
they're in a
parking lot.
city. The only way you can tell they're in a city is that you can see a skyscraper like every couple of seconds. But like other than that, they could be in the middle of nowhere and you'd have no idea because the whole track is just surrounded with sponsors.
They're too damn successful. How dare they? So all
Yeah.
these things.
How dare
Well,
they?
speaking of trying to be successful, Cadillac F1 coming to the grid next year also announced that their power unit has been approved for 2028, I believe. Apparently being rumored to have something to reveal this Saturday at Miami. We also mentioned at the top, Sergio Perez's jet has landed in Miami. There could be zero connection. He could be heading to one of his penthouses and having a night out in the town and having a good time. Or some speculation, he could be their first driver that they announced, Sergio Perez to Cadillac. He'd be back. He has looked like a hero in the last couple months, has he not?
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? How so?
Well, just how bad Liam Lawson was, and
Well, Snow's
Yuki
doing
has
pretty good.
struggled. Yeah, but he still struggled. He's
Uh,
closer.
I'd say struggle less than Sergio has.
I mean, it's been like 2 races, but
exactly.
I
I
think
mean,
you need a
I'm just
little more
saying.
time. Both of
Well-
y'all need a little more time before we make assumptions about Yuki. But I don't disagree with you, Parker. Perez is not the problem at Red Bull, and they made it out like he was. And
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right.
Well, he might have his last laugh when he gets on the grid again, and maybe he has a fast car. You
Also,
never know. In F1.
I do find it hilarious that you're like, oh, maybe he's just going to Miami to like party. And it's like, okay, you have a ultra rich F1 driver, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Miami this weekend, like specifically when F1's there to party. It's like when he could go literally any city on the planet.
You don't know. Hey, man, he might just be all about it. Like I was at Talladega.
He might, yeah.
I could have gone anywhere.
Big,
I couldn't have
he
been.
might be a
I
big
could have been.
Marlins fan or something.
I had to be there Friday, Saturday, but it could have been anywhere come Sunday. But I chose to stay Talladega with my people. So, maybe he's similar. He's
True.
like, hey,
Yeah,
F1's
he
my
just has
people.
friends in the sport too. Yeah.
What is
This
that, Josh?
reminds me We have a listener who's going to be in Miami because he hung out with us.
Oh yeah.
Way back, when was it? December? When you and Landon did your Las Vegas watch party. You want an opportunity to go to Miami. Dylan.
That's right.
Dean Adders, our listener, he's going to go to Miami because of Moneyline.
Shout out. Get us some content, man. Tell us how it is. Come on the show. Mm-hmm. Let us know. Let us know how it is. We want to know. Let us know in the comments somewhere below. Last thing, IndyCar. Last week, they had the open test. He had Kyle Larson who crashed. And this was an interesting one out of turn one, just sort of understeers off. Got some interesting info. I believe he didn't move the weight jacker, which is something to remember in these cars, that they use the weight jacker down the straightaways to lower the back, get the spoiler out, the wing out of the air, and then they prop it back up for the corner. If you just leave it down position, it's going to understeer massively. And apparently that's what I had heard this past weekend. So little mistake, but not, you know what? I said it, all these people were trying to rip him apart and that sort of stuff. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm glad he hit the wall. Get that shit out of the way. Now it's out of, now the fear of that, kind of what he said, it was like, whatever, got it out of the way. I finally did it. So now I know what the limit is. I like that. I'm doubling down. He's a winner, baby. He's going for it.
Wow. It's also funny considering he did a whole year of it last year and didn't have any incidents. Now people are like, oh my gosh, he's the worst driver on the planet. It's like, he literally did the race with 0 incidents last year.
This guy can't drive. I don't know what he's here for. That's what they sound like.
Oh, wow. Did you hear them specific?
Wow. I'm going to post on Twitter about this. He's not as good as Max Verstappen.
As a Max Verstappen stan, as a stan of Max Verstappen, Kyle is a better overall driver because he drives.
Wow.
No doubt. We're not going to dive into that, but I agree.
I haven't been on C Fixed recently when it's at Dega, have you?
Oh, is Max racking up some W's?
He is running some trucks at Dega whenever they go.
That's going to be the funniest thing is Max Verstappen is not going to do the Daytona 500 as his first NASCAR race or anything. It's going to be Dega and trucks. I'm going to be in it. We're going to do a battle royale to the end, and I'm going to beat him and then just go, I am the greatest driver in the world.
There you go. Yeah, he's going to blow a motor on like lap 10 and be like, wow, all these drivers are so much better than Max Verstappen.
All right, let's do. What do you got for us this week, AJ, in your fun motorsports?
I don't have one.
Okay,
sorry,
moving on.
Everybody.
That was fun.
Okay.
Let's do the PR lap. If you written us some comments or left some reviews, they're going to be in here. But first, we do picks. We got to pick our winners for the upcoming weekend. We've got Cup, Xfinity, and Truck at Texas and Formula One in the Miami GP. Cup, I'm going to choose Chase Elliott. Xfinity is going to be Kyle Larson. Truck is going to be... Who am I choosing, guys? Who am I going with? Corey Heim.
I'll pick mine.
That's an easy one. And F1, Miami GP is going to be Lando Norris. He fights back.
Said Elliott Larson, and who was Truck?
Corey Heim.
All right. AJ.
I will pick.
Wait. I want Roger Ruth. I want Roger Ruth.
Okay.
I have a feeling.
Okay.
I had a feeling. Sorry.
I love it. I'd love that for him. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
I am going to pick at Texas Ryan Blaney in the Cup Series. Xfinity, I'm going to go with let's go with Allgaier. Truck, I'm going to go with Enfinger. I think he's going to win it on a late race restart, so you can just add that in as well.
Okay.
He's going to pass for the win. And then Formula One got to go with Max. He's too goated. He's too great to not win. So
that's crazy.
What do you got?
I got Larson. I'm gonna go Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer gets it done at Texas.
Help rolled up.
Gonna throw. I'm gonna put Hocevar on top in trucks.
Oh, is he running?
He is running.
Oh, that's right. He told me that.
Oh, you didn't tell us that.
Yeah, he did. I like Roger.
You're gonna you got to do that homework. And then Piastri. Those are my picks.
Got it. All right. Good picks. Josh, you haven't put any reviews or anything in here.
Oh, you said keep it short.
I do know there's one review out there.
Okay.
Apple reviews. We're at 222. 5 stars gets you on the show. This one is from Anonymous Disciple, April 22nd. We didn't do this last week, right?
I have no idea, but they're just going to get double if
they
we
did. You're going to get this.
5 stars?
I don't remember reading this one. So this
Why don't
podcast.
we read all of them?
No, this is the only one on Apple reviews. This is the newest one.
Right.
Yeah, we read the April 17th one.
I got the Spotify ones ready.
So he says, or she, I'm not sure. It's anonymous. This podcast, wait, strike that, quotations, show is money. Just found this show, and it's my new favorite NASCAR-related podcast / show. It's very informative, and it makes me laugh. The only problem is I wish I had found it sooner. Looking forward to the episode with 2-time Cup champion Kyle Busch, 5 stars. Oh, no. That's a problem. We'll get to that later. What else we got?
On Spotify, Derek Kenzie says, PK, my homie, thank you for reading my comment to clown on your so-called gamer co-host, AJ and Josh. Great show, guys. NASCAR is not just fun. It's hella fun. That's how I know he's from Northern California. Only us Northern Californians say hella. P.S. I'll race all you dudes on Mario Kart 8.
Ooh, all right.
Calling us
Mark
out.
it down on the calendar, buddy. We'll
see
make
you
it happen.
there. See you there.
And then Natherland Tim says, befriend Cletus and ask him how to be more engaging. I think he is trying to give us advice.
You said a more popular creator knows how better than us. How dare you? How dare you bring that here? One of the internet
his idea is going to be
he can only have so many views. We can only have so many views.
What if we just both all have views at the same time?
That's the joke, Josh.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no.
We all have views.
We can all have views.
There's not enough content in the world. There is too many damn podcasts. We should have played that stupid clip of that person I found on Instagram. I sent you guys, where he was like, "I'm gonna, you know what?
Oh my goodness!
I'm gonna make a video on this later. We'll do this later. This boiled my blood. This man was speaking about racing in probably the stupidest way I've ever seen. It did 1.4 million views because of just the hilarious stupidness of it. But people believed it. They believed it. And he basically was trying to say that pro drivers want to drive Miatas because it's the truest test of skill. And I was like, who are you? Why do you think that? And what within your brain convinced yourself to put that out there other than there's just too much damn podcast equipment? On that note, boys,
if he's referring to, forget it. I don't even want
we do have more. I think Miata racing is phenomenal to watch.
Phenomenal
if
to watch.
He's referring to the Mazda Cup, then sure.
Yeah.
But I know he's not referring to that.
No, he's talking about spec Miata racing, which
he's
is
like
fun,
a finance bro on Instagram.
Exactly. He's one of those finance bros or whatever. And it was like, but you don't, he was like, this is where real pro drivers show up. Horsepower hides skill or whatever. I'm just like, you are the dumbest person I have ever heard talk about racing on the internet. And it just really fired me up.
He is so wrong. Lemons Racing is where the true pros show up. I know that because I've seen.
Do we have any other comments?
Yes,
or reviews?
We do. CKY Moto says one way to get more people to be aware of the show is having Kyle Busch on as a guest. Also he said professionally cover e-scooter for at least 30 minutes per week with interviews and full breakdowns of these races. We're totally down to do that.
We're waiting for them to
once they fire back
up.
Once they fire back up, boys. I think this is it. On that note, we was brought up twice here in the last 10 minutes, but big mistake.
Parker forgot to text him.
I forgot to hit him up. He didn't know we were on Wednesday this week. He showed up on Monday.
Yeah.
We didn't do it.
Yeah, he was really mad about that.
He was pretty pissed. We're just gonna hope that he tries to show up next week. I'll send him a flower basket as a sorry. And we'll get him.
Yeah, we might have burned too many bridges.
He told me he's gonna start targeting us a day rate every time we leave him in there.
That's fine. We have endless money. So
okay.
We're fine.
It's called the money lap for a reason, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't own a NASCAR team. We do have endless money because of that.
That's a great way to end it.
On that great disappointment from Jeremy Clarkson. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to the Money Lap. If you like this show, please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Share it with friends. We want to spread the word of great motorsports shows. of which we're somewhere up and around there. I'm not exactly sure where, but nonetheless, you can also reach out to us anytime on across social media or at our website, themoneylap.com, or at our email, friends@themoneylap.com. And of course, you can always leave us a review. 5 stars gets you on this very show. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Goodbye.